and welcome to the Direct Selling Success Podcast. I'm Anna Green, and I'm here to share with you tips, tricks, and training on network marketing done right. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome to In Conversation With. I am here a little bit later than I would usually be because I have a lovely guest with me today. You may be able to hear her a bit in the background. This is Jasmine Clarke from Zest Productivity. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hi, thank you for having me on, Anna.
Oh, lovely to see you here. So tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Great, thank you. So I'm Jasmine and I own Zest Productivity, which is a company that helps you get more of the important stuff done. So I'm a productivity coach. I help people one-to-one and I help organizations to get more of the important stuff done so that they can reclaim back their lives.
Oh,
Because we just get in that hamster wheel, don't we, of doing all the things all the time, ticking off the to-do list, but never feeling like we're actually making that progress. And that's what I'm here for, making real progress.
oh, amazing, amazing. So the reason that we're chatting is because you have a background in direct sales as
I
well as
have.
me. So would you just tell people a little bit about your journey through your direct sales business and where you are now, really?
Yeah, of course. I've had a little bit of an interesting background with direct sales. So I first got into direct sales through Body Shop back in like 2000 and maybe like 2010, 2009, 2010, I think it was, for about a year and loved it. Then I had a little foray into Jamie at Home, if anyone remembers that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Oh, my kitchen is still stocked with
So is
Jamie at Home
mine.
products. Love it. And then it was 2015, I encountered Temple Spa for the first time and I just loved it. It transformed my skin. I fell in love with it. And I've always had this hankering for running my own business and being my own boss. And I joined and just absolutely loved it. And I'm still part of the company now. Just loved the income it brought, loved the friendships. I just been telling Anna I was away last week and I was visiting friends, and they're all friends I've met through Temple Spa that I've stayed in their houses and met their families, and it's just been wonderful. So I grew a team. My kids were very little at the time. So when I joined, my daughter was one, and then I had my son a year and a half later. I ended up having a team. I went on some beautiful trips. I went to Zanzibar and I've been to the Maldives twice and
Wow.
just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then it was quite a few years ago, I realized that I was able to run my business in a slightly different way to the people around me in terms of from a productivity point of view. And I realized that I could teach people. So I started running sessions on things like habits, goal setting, prioritization, just the getting the stuff done stuff. And this just led into opening up this whole other world for me of coaching. So I then started working as a coach. I've trained as a coach. I'm a level 7 executive coach in my training. I've worked for big companies in terms of coaching. At one point, I was coaching 30 people a week in half-an-hour sessions to get that stuff done, which was wonderful. And my world just kind of took a bit of a pivot then. So I'm still a part of Temple Spa, but this time last year, I decided that I wanted to more focus on the productivity side. And I reluctantly, well, not reluctantly, sadly, handed over my team to my lovely friend Sarah, who has been looking after them ever since.
Oh, do you know what? I think having the bravery and the decision-making ability to not jump, that's the wrong word. I can't think what the word is. Transition
Yeah.
to a different business. And I know I was the same. It's a big jump, it's a big thing to do, isn't it? And quite scary.
Yeah, it was. And I remember I actually read this book at the time called The Tension of Transition. And it helped me just decide what I wanted to do. And
Mm.
it wasn't an easy decision. It was one that I probably had been thinking about for a good year before. But I knew that there was something a little bit different. And I'm so grateful for my experience with Temple Spa and the amazing colleagues that I had and all that I learned and grew. And it without it, I wouldn't be in this position now where I've just launched my company on the 16th of January. Zest Productivity Limited is now an official company, and
Amazing.
I'm just really, really excited for what the next few years are going to bring.
Yeah. So I was the same, exactly the same when I transitioned into this company. It was just such a big decision because you're leaving behind, sort of, all those things that you've always done, that little comfort blanket, the way of doing things. And yeah, it is scary, but do you know what? So rewarding. So rewarding.
It really
And
is.
I don't think enough people realize in direct sales what they've got
No.
with regard to a business in a box, all
Yeah.
the support and everything that's part
Yeah.
of the package. I mean, as a business owner, we were talking about this before the podcast recording started. Was the investment in our business getting a coach to train us to do what we're doing now, and getting that extra support and that network around us
Mhm.
of people that support us to do what we now do. And that all comes as part of the package with direct sales, doesn't it?
It does. Like now branding. I need to get someone to do that. I
Yeah,
need to pay them for it. New
yeah,
products, I have to design them and do them myself. And there's something really empowering about that. But it also takes such a lot of work. And I think in direct sales, you have so much of an amazing foundation that then you can just sprinkle your sparkle on the top and
yeah,
elevate it to where you want to take it. And it's such a great opportunity. And yeah,
yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So, what would you say you would credit with getting yourself as far as you got in direct sales?
Ooh, great question. I think focus. I've been described as having a laser focus. Um, I've always gone for what I wanted and I've always got it. And I think at one point I thought, oh, am I not taking enough risks? I'm not failing enough. But I've realized I move very quickly and I pivot and change and I focus. And in direct sales, I had that goal right from the word go that I want to make this really big. I want to go on the trip. I want to have a team. I want to provide I want to provide the great things for my family. But I also wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to work for anyone else anymore. I got made redundant in 2018, and it was just great because my Temple Spa business was just at a point where I probably wouldn't have laid down my other work then, but it gave me that push. And it's because I've always had that focus and been like a dog with a bone. And I've not been distracted. Even this week, I went to a mastermind day, a business mastermind day on Wednesday, and the lady running it said what she's noticed about me and what she admires is that I'm not distracted by other things. I'm focused on the things that I know I want to do and I need to do to progress my business in my way. And that was it. The FOMO, just I don't get it. I just ignore it. I focus on what is important to me.
I think that like not tunnel vision, but that drive to get something stops you from all the overwhelm and the procrastination, I suppose, and the those little niggly thoughts that go on in our brain that we can't do this. Actually, I think
Yeah.
if the drive is there and that focus is there and you want it enough,
Yeah.
those can be bashed off a little bit easier, brushed away a bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
And I
something you find with your productivity business then
yeah,
that you can
it's
help with that?
focus is so important because
Mm,
when you run a business, the competing demands on what you should be doing are immeasurable.
yeah.
The to-do list is never ticked off. There's always another thing you could be doing, another customer you could be calling, another team member you could be giving a little G up, another product you could be showcasing on Facebook. There's always something to do, and we can get really overwhelmed because we can feel like we're never progressing. So having that prioritization, figuring out what is important, and then having that laser focus, I think is really, really important. And this helps me now because I do a lot of consultancy work with organizations. And somebody I worked with last year, his feedback to me after his testimonial after was that I bring a laser sharp focus. And that has really helped me in my consultancy work because I can work with a business and I can really, really quickly get to the heart of what's going on because I'm not distracted by anything else. And I
Yeah.
do think it's a skill you can hone. I think I'm naturally
Yes.
focused. Apparently, well, I walked at 7 months old, which is a little bit bonkers. And my mum said that I was a very frustrated child before I could move. So I clearly had that. I need to be able to move in my little tiny 6 month old body. I was like, I'm frustrated. So at 7 months, apparently, I pulled myself up on a table for the first time. And everyone was like, oh, Jazzy's moved, she's pulled herself up. And I gave my mum a bit of a look, which I think she's seen many more times since, which is a bit of a, you haven't seen anything yet. And I just turned around and walked, and that was it. I never crawled, and I just walked from then on. And I think I've just had that inbuilt focus from day one. But I do think that it is a muscle, it is a skill that you can develop. I think it's something that we are very distracted by in the world. We're distracted by our notifications on our phone, on social media. And we can cultivate this deeper work, this deeper focus, but it does take practice and it's a habit that you do need to learn. But in my coaching work, it is really amazing to drill down into what is the most important thing for you. So in your business, and I've coached some really senior managers within network marketing in different businesses, and it's thinking, what is your focus for your business? And really drilling down into that. What is the most important thing to do this month, this week, today? And having a focus on doing that. And it, like I said, it is a habit. You do need to practice it, but you can learn it, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally believe that you can because I was never focused. I used to flip from one thing to another, when I was a teenager, when I was, growing up, when I first had kids.
Hmm.
I just wanted to do everything and nothing.
Hmm.
It's really hard to explain, but yeah, I think direct sales helped me with that focus because
Hmm.
I had a drive to do certain things. I think the goal focused me.
Hmm.
I knew what I
Yeah.
wanted and I knew I was going to get it. I didn't know how I was going to get it, but I knew I was going to get it.
Yeah.
So I worked out what the things were I needed to do to get there
Yeah.
and then just kept doing the things
Yes.
and
Yes.
tweaking the
Yeah.
things and doing the
Yes.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the more you do that, the more you see the results, the more you want to do it, the closer you're going to get. And yeah,
Yeah.
but I think we get in our way so much.
We do. And also we're afraid to fail because like you said there, you're doing the things and then you tweaked the things and then you carried on doing the things and we're afraid to fail. And
Mm.
that stops us, I think, in plowing forward in a focus. But I pivot all the time.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
At the moment, I am thinking about renaming my podcast. It launched back in October. It's called Productivity Hacks. And I am pretty sure that I'm going to be changing the name of it to Productivity with Zest to align with my company and also to be what I'm about because I'm about that zest for life. I'm about approaching challenge with positivity and action.
Yeah.
I'm about having that joy in life. And you can get that through doing the productivity stuff, through figuring out what's important. I love what you said there
Yes.
about your goals. And I love teaching people about thinking about what your dreams are and so where you want to be in 5 years time, what's important to you, who do you want to be in 5 years time, not what do you want to have, but who's the person you want to be, drilling that down to your goals, like what does that actually mean and when, so having it really time bound. I want
Yeah.
this by this, and then right, what are baby steps? And one of my favorite quotes is you can climb a mountain with baby steps. But you can't climb a mountain if you are trying to climb multiple mountains and you keep jumping from mountain to mountain, which is that you said you were kind of wanted to do everything and nothing. And that's not
Yeah.
a surprising thing to hear because if you're trying to do everything, all the things, you are actually doing nothing because you are kind of in that hamster wheel, just doing a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. But if you go, this is what I want, I was so focused on getting that first trip to Zanzibar in 2019. So focused. I had a board on my wall where I put post-it notes on, and every time I got a certain number of points, I pulled one off. And it was just this like achieving. I've still got now a star chart on my wall
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
me too.
38, I've got a star chart on my wall because this is encouraging me with the thing that I'm really focused on right now. I've
Yeah,
also got my certificates on my wall with my psychology degree and my incorporation of my company, and soon to have my ILM level 7 certificate on there because those things motivate you. Having those reminders of the things that
yeah,
you've achieved before really motivate you. They keep you going, they keep you pushing forward.
yeah. And I think not everybody thinks like this right now. And for whatever reason, whether it scares them, whether they haven't got a goal, whether
Yeah.
they're just not aligned with whatever. And it fascinates me because I have, since starting in direct sales, been that laser focus. This is what I want. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And I was the same as you back in 2010 on my first incentive trip. There was no way I wasn't going to get it.
Yeah.
That thought didn't even cross my mind. It was happening and I was going to make it happen. And it was, how can I? How can I?
Yeah.
But I remember speaking to my team and them saying, well, I can't do it.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to bother. Oh, there's no way that's going to happen.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, right, okay, so this isn't how everybody thinks. Because I used to think, everybody thinks the same way. But
Hmm.
actually, I was like, how can I? They were all, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that mindset has a
Yeah.
massive impact.
It is. There's that is it John Maxwell quote, the is it John the whether you think you can or think you can't, you're probably right.
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but yeah, I totally live by that. There's no such word as can't.
No. There's just whether the will is strong enough and you're whether to make the
Yeah.
sacrifices to do it. So in order to
Yeah.
go to Zanzibar, I had to be laser focused and I had to cancel things in order to do more experiences and sell more products. I had to really push the foot to the floor in terms of the recruitment, the sponsoring. I had to
Mm,
really go for it. I had to be laser focused and you can't have it all. You cannot do it all. Literally can't. So what is the most important thing to you? And then
yeah.
focus on that.
And what is going to get you there simpler,
Yeah,
quicker, less
yeah,
effort? How can you
yes,
be more productive?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I worked out that for the points that I needed, because the where the trip worked, I had a certain amount of points, and I
Yeah.
worked out, right, I could either sell this amount of product, or I could sponsor, recruit this many people. And I was like, actually, which is the most? Which is going to get me the most? Which is going to get me the most points? Which is going to be the
Yeah.
most effort? And which is also going to benefit my business long term? And that was the great thing about going for these trips. They really benefited my business long term. I didn't just get the
Yeah.
trip. I had a stronger business starting in January, February, March. It carried on building. Then for the next year, when we started the trip again, I was in a much stronger position than I even was the year before.
Yeah. And that is the point, isn't it, Jasmine? With these
Yeah,
trips that the companies put on, they're there to build your business to a level which
yeah,
makes hitting the trip easy.
yeah,
And every time you build closer to hitting that trip points
yeah.
qualification criteria, the closer you are for the next time. But so many people go, well, I didn't do it this time, so I'm not going to really bother trying. I'll just plod along. And the
Yeah,
next trip comes along and they're all inspired and excited to go for it.
yeah,
But they haven't
yeah,
built the business enough to do it. So the
yeah,
same thing happens year after year after year.
yeah, yeah.
And it is that laser focus. This is what I'm going for. Well, do you know what? I didn't hit it, but I'll get it next
Mhm.
year because I'll be so much closer. I just need to keep doing the things.
Yes. Yeah, you work out the things that are the most important, keep doing them, and then
Yeah,
keep tweaking if things change and things stop
yeah,
working. And that's
yeah,
really important to tweak and pivot. Like when I started my podcast, I launched it thinking, right, this is going to be for mums who run their own business, because that's who I am. I'm a mum who runs her own business. After about 2 or 3 episodes, I was like, nah, this is not sitting right. So I changed it. I
yeah,
completely changed it at that moment. I'm going to change again now, 17 episodes in, to change the name. And there's nothing that's not failing. I didn't do it wrong. I had to launch it in the way that I did to
yeah,
then go, no, pivot. And it's really important to do that. Keep going forward. So when you've set your goal, I feel like I'm a train going really, really fast towards that goal. But I might need to shift. I might need to change to a different track and I'll change it. But it's easier to maneuver something that's already moving. If you were a ship in the sea, it's easier to change course if you're moving forward. It's much harder if you sat in the port. So move forward in the direction that you feel is best, but don't be afraid to pivot and change your course.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exactly what I teach as well. And I think this is what's so great talking to you, knowing that, we're on those same tracks,
Yeah, yeah,
teaching the same thing, talking that same language.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it just I don't know, it just makes me feel more aligned with what I'm doing, talking to somebody
Hmm.
else who has that same
Good.
vision and that same passion for business and
Yeah.
that same outlook for people. And
Hmm.
I think, I don't know, business should bring us joy.
Oh,
And
yeah,
when you said that earlier on, I was like, yes, woman after my own
yeah,
heart. Because
yeah.
it really should. It shouldn't be all stress and angst and
Hmm.
competition
No.
and especially in the direct sales industry, and
Yeah,
it is the same with the coaching industry and training and
yeah,
mentoring.
yeah.
People need to collaborate and connect more for mutual success.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that it should be joy. There should be a lot of
Yeah.
joy. And that's why it's called Zest. And that's my mission. I want to bring more zest into people's lives. I want people to love what they do. And when they're aligned, they love it. One of the amazing people I spent a bit of time with this week is someone that I've coached. I coached her for 6 months last year. And she is in such a different place. Her business is doing really, really well, but she is calm. She's aligned. She isn't like a duck or a swan, where you look calm, but underneath your legs are kicking wildly. She's not. She's serenely gliding. And it is an absolute joy. And it honestly filled me with, it just made me really proud that I was able to help her figure out what is important in her business and help her move forward in that alignment. And that's my word for the year. Well, I have two words for the year this year. It's the behind me, if you can see on the screen, it's aligned adventure. And this is what I'm all about this year. It's figuring out more about who I am. Somebody on a podcast said about getting to know your soul. And I was like, yeah, I want to know my soul more. So having that alignment and then having adventures within that alignment. So
Mm.
might be like last week when I had an adventure and went all the way down to Torquay from the north. Or it might be trying something new in business. It's just taking those risks, but in ways that are really aligned to me. And that's one thing that I have done on my podcast is encourage people to figure out a word for the year because that helps you keep aligned. It gives you that laser focus. It
Yeah.
gives you a path for the year.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Yeah. Mine, weirdly enough, is aligned growth.
No way.
It is aligned growth. So I've got aligned growth,
Love
and
that.
then my other, it's kind of like a mission for the year is give
Mhm.
back. So
Right.
I've got the two. And then I've got a personal one as well. My personal goal, I've not got a word for it, is to go away once a month with either the whole family or just me and my husband. Because we've had the year from hell last year,
Mm.
and this year is going to be much more about that whole experience. So very similar to yours, I
We are
would say.
aligned, Anna. We knew this
I
was meant
know.
to be.
Ah, love it. So before we do disappear, would you give us some top tips for productivity?
Hmm. My top tips are already hinted at, but work out the most important things.
Yeah.
Do that yourself, sit down and think, what are the needle movers? I know that's a
Yeah.
phrase lots of business teachers teach, but what are the things that are going to move the business forward?
Yeah.
So what are the key things? And you cannot put 27 things on a key things list. It needs to be one, two, tops, three, maybe, if I'm being
Yeah.
generous. But the word priority always used to just be priority. So top priority wasn't priorities. So what is the number one priority? And if you have to have three, which is your number one? Cultivate time to stay laser focused on that. So if it means putting some meetings in your diary with yourself where you're going to focus on that one thing, put them in your diary. Treat it like a meeting with the king. You wouldn't move it. Keep that really, really precious and practice that muscle, that habit of focus, that habit of focusing on the important things and try not to be distracted by what other people are doing. I have a bit of a policy where I watch and I learn and then I decide, is this for me? Is it for me now? Is it for me in the future? Is it not? And I use that to try and stop myself from getting that FOMO, from being distracted with what other people are doing. Sometimes I might get really inspired and think, actually, that looks like a really strategic way to do what I want to be doing. Right, I'm going to adopt that quickly. And I do it, and I do make pivots and I do make changes, but they're considered, they're not, they're doing X, Y, Z, I need to do it too. No,
Yeah.
it's just focusing on yourself. And a key thing at the moment that lots of people are telling me about is they struggle with procrastination and getting those important things done. So you know the important thing. Sometimes we call it the frog. And if you've not heard of that, you need to research Eat the Frog. But you know the frog that you need to eat, the most important thing, but you're procrastinating over it. And there's lots of different ways why you might be procrastinating. And one thing that I've done is I've created a bit of a cheat sheet for people who
Yeah.
are struggling with procrastination. So to get it, you can go to my website, which is zestproductivity.com, and download it from there. If you're watching on Facebook, I'm showing you it. And it's a flow chart where you start at the top with the task that you're procrastinating on. And it just asks you different questions like, is the task too big? Yes or no? And then if it's yes, it follows you down that way. If it's no, are you worried about making a mistake? Yes or no? And then it gives you some tips. So basically, you can follow this flow chart to figure out why you are procrastinating over that thing and then doing it. And at the end, it even says, does this task really align with your goals and your values? Because sometimes you're procrastinating over something because actually that task isn't important to you. So scrap it. So if you want this cheat sheet, head to zestproductivity.com and you'll be able to download it. And I'm going to pop onto Facebook after this and answer if anyone's had any questions. I'll answer them on this feed and I'll put the link there as well.
Yeah, and any questions coming from the podcast, I will send over to you, and the same with the YouTube channel as well. I'll pop them
Lovely.
over, but we'll make sure all the links are in all the notes underneath so people have them so they can
Great.
access it just through clicking, and we'll put all your social media links under as well, if that's
Lovely.
all right with you.
I need to warn you, I'm not the best on social media. I dabble in it. It is not my favorite place to be because it's a place that distracts me.
Yeah,
So I love email. So if anyone wants to email me at Jasmine at zestproductivity.com, I can answer any questions you have there.
yeah,
And yeah, if anyone wants to get some productivity hacks and some hints and tips, my podcast is Productivity Hacks at the moment, maybe changing to Productivity with Zest. So maybe look into both. But the episodes are 20 minutes long, and I've just done a series on planning. So starting at the big picture, long term, then going into the more medium term, like your quarterly, monthly planning, then
yeah.
your weekly and daily planning, and then some planning hacks. But there's episodes on there about procrastination, about getting your goals. There's one about FOMO. So have a little look and let me know what you think.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for being my guest this week.
Oh, it's
We
been a
will
pleasure.
see you all soon. Have fun. Bye.